Oh, geez, Rick, another episode of Top of the List.
Morty, look at these guys, Dom, and RB. They talk about what their favorite shows are on TV and movies.
That was perfect.
That was great. Well, for those of you who don't know, what are we reviewing this week, Dom?
This week, we're going to be reviewing Rick and Morty, Ryan's, probably your favorite TV show besides, was it King of the Hill?
Yeah. Definitely favorite. King of the Hill and this are my two favorite animated shows. Definitely, though, top of my list for animated shows and television shows, period. But got Dom to watch this one, and yep. I think, unless I'm speaking for you, you were pleasantly surprised as well.
Yeah, and we got a few housekeeping things to do here before we get into our thoughts on Rick and Morty. First of all, I'm coming at you guys 1 year older than I was in the last episode. 24 years old.
We're not booing Dom there. We're booing his jersey.
I picked this up. Ryan and my family and we all went to a Giants game over the weekend, and I picked this jersey up, Buster Posey jersey.
That's what we're booing.
That's where we're Buster Posey. Okay. And new Giants hat and some other things that Ryan picked up for me. As you guys can see here, Rick and Morty Trivial Pursuit. Zoom it in on the camera.
There we go.
There we go. You can see that. And then, of course, Ryan gave me that for my birthday as well as some Rick and Morty socks. Ryan's a really good gift giver. I am not sure if you guys knew that, but Ryan gives really good gifts. I don't give really good gifts. I always get Ryan video games that he never plays.
I played The Last of Us, or not Last of Us. What was the other one? Injustice. That was my favorite gift that you gave me.
That was a good one. Yeah. So Rick and Morty socks. Ryan also got me some Avatar The Last Airbender socks.
Which will be coming out once we finish up Legend of Korra. We'll be coming out you with an Avatar, The Last Airbender, and Legend of Korra all-in-one review super episode.
Yep, that'll be awesome. Yep. And Ryan, you also got me a Karate Kid shirt, which is amazing. I love that.
Which also we got to see this past week, some news drop on the new Cobra Kai season 4.
Looks like Karate Kid 3 is going to be a crucial watch for that season.
I don't know if you've seen it. I have not, but excited.
I can't remember the last time I saw it.
Okay, so we'll have to rewatch that one for sure, like we rewatched Karate Kid Part 2. Yeah, absolutely.
And before we get into Rick and Morty, one final thing. We don't want to do a full episode on A Quiet Place, like we said at the end of last week's episode, because of spoilers. We want to give everybody time to go out and see it. But we did want to give you guys our scores. We went and Ryan watched Quiet Place Part 1 like last week some point.
Yeah.
And then we went and saw Quiet Place Part 2 for my birthday over the weekend as well. And we just want to give you guys our thoughts and opinions. Ryan, why don't you kick it off with your, let's start with Quiet Place Part 1 score.
Yeah, so Quiet Place Part 1, definitely I'm not a horror suspense film guy, but this to me, unpopular opinion, but it just seemed like, to me, your run-of-the-mill suspense monster movie. Definitely kept my interest. The story, although vague, like I said, kept me intrigued. I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. So a little bit better than okay, but I wouldn't quite give it good status.
And what'd you think about the second one?
Second one, I think, very
better
similar.
Or worse? Okay.
I'm going to give it just a short tick below, 6 out of 10. As Dom will tell you when we talk about different things, I like to overthink movies a lot. And I was just nitpicking through this movie, different things. I was like, this doesn't make sense. This makes the human race look so stupid. So I'm going to give that one a 6 out of 10. So 6.5 for the first, 6 out of 10 for the second. But once again, not my cup of tea, these horror suspense films. So those are pretty high scores from me.
Okay, right on. And I guess, should I give my scores?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, so, these are definitely my kind of movies. I remember going to see the first Quiet Place and being blown away. I went and saw it with, I think one of my friends in college. I went and saw it with him, and man, it is an intense movie. You can't breathe throughout the entire film and make any noise at all. Hence A Quiet Place. One of my favorite films of the year, and after seeing it multiple times now, one of my favorite films of all time. Not in my top 10 or maybe not even my top 20, but definitely a really, really amazing film in my book, at least. Not for everybody, but I would give the first one a 9.5 out of 10. Not that perfect 10 out of 10, but definitely as close as you could possibly get to a perfect 10 out of 10. One of my biggest reasons I give it a 9.5 instead of a 10 is I feel the ending is a bit abrupt, and that's something that was the same for the second one for me. I felt like the second one picked up right where the first one left off and pulled off the same tricks as the first one and did so in a grand fashion. Didn't quite have the special feel. It felt like you were experiencing something new the first time watching it in theaters. This one felt like a continuation of what we had already seen, just extrapolating on what we had already seen. And I'm fine with that. I wouldn't give it a higher score. It's not a better film than the first one, nor is it an extremely worse film than the first one. I'd say it's about the same level as the first one, if not just slightly less enjoyable, but still an amazing film. I'd give it a 9 out of 10 instead of a 9.5 out of 10. Just like Ryan said, a half point shy.
Yeah.
So that's our spoiler-free thoughts.
Perfect.
Definitely a recommend for me. Suspense fan. Ryan, if you're not a suspense fan, still above average.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you could go see this. There are some top of my list suspense films, like we've talked about. Jurassic Park, definitely number one on my list among suspense films, as well as some of the Hitchcock greats, Psycho, Rear Window, just to name a few.
Just didn't reach the highs of that for you.
Correct. The story wasn't as fleshed out, but for those suspense fans, go see this one for sure. If you're not, maybe, delve more into the story-heavy suspense films like the Hitchcocks.
Yeah, and going from a very serious sci-fi film to a very lighthearted, or I guess you could say, crude and...
Crude. I don't know that I would use lighthearted to describe Rick and Morty, but just a heads up before we dive right in, we'll be coming at you all episode with spoilers.
Yep.
So if you have not watched, we're going to go season by season, so you'll know where to pause. But just so you know, there will be spoilers all throughout. We're going to come right out with them here.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, I think we should start with season 1.
Well, do we want to give our full show score, or do we want to go season by season and then finish up with our show score?
What do you think? I think we should finish with the show score.
Okay. Then we'll dive right on into season 1. Hopefully you guys can see that.
Yeah.
Have our episode listing there, all 11 episodes of season 1 there.
So correct me if I'm wrong. This one came out in 2013 or 14?
I want to say 14. I was in high school.
Okay.
Season 2, I was up my freshman year of college. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So 2014, around there. And, the animation gets better with each season. That's one thing I noticed. As far as the artistry goes, I want to say, at first I thought, I said it at the beginning, I thought it was a bit crude. I definitely thought it was a bit crude, but as the show went on, it grew on me. I really enjoyed it. And there's a lot of great things that I wouldn't say that the pilot for season 1 is anything truly phenomenal. I wouldn't say that at all. What do you think?
I think they hit it out of the park.
Okay.
I'm going to put it out there right now and say I can pick one episode of these 11 that was not memorable.
Okay.
But I would not give any of these episodes, with the exception of that one episode, below an 8.5 out of 10. Below an 8 out of 10. I'll say that. The pilot, you're right, it's like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
I just want to say about the pilot, where it's not as thought-provoking as some of the first episodes. It doesn't have as great of a story. It just hits it out of the park because it's something so different from the different animated shows we see. The one that people compare it to the most is Futurama. Matt Groening's sort of side project, futuristic Simpsons, as people will call it. But that's a really light-hearted show. It's not really story-heavy. I think all of these episodes are pretty story-heavy.
Yeah, and can you maybe just set it up? Remind me, what was the, for maybe people haven't seen the show at this point, what's the kind of pilot premise or at least what happens in the pilot?
Yeah, so the pilot is Rick and Morty's first adventure, at least as we see it on screen. And it's definitely an episode where Rick takes Morty to go get these giant seeds.
That's right, yeah.
And then, we see that Rick doesn't get along with this galactic government. They go through this galactic airport, and the seeds are contraband. He asks Morty to shove them up his butt to get through security, and all sorts of Morty's.
What were they called? The super seeds.
Yeah. And, we get this, and finally,
mega seeds. Yeah,
mega seeds. That's it. And at the end, Beth and Jerry, Morty's parents, Rick is Morty's grandfather, say that's it. He needs to be going to school. And Morty, all of a sudden, he goes, look, he's getting smarter for my adventures. And he starts saying really smart stuff.
Yep.
But then we find out it's just the super seed dissolving into his bloodstream. And then after that, they said, oh, for the next 72 hours, he'll lose all motor functions, and he's spazzing out on the floor. That's how the episode comes to an end.
Yeah, and it gives you a perfect taste of what is to ensue in these next 4 seasons.
Yes.
And that's kind of my biggest flaw with this episode. It's only a small taste of the potential this show had.
But it's a pilot. I mean, they create this episode, in my understanding, and you may know more about the industry than I do. Yeah. A pilot is created before any of these other episodes to pitch. So, I mean, they had to give people just a taste. Yeah, before, because they didn't, I mean, I'm sure they had an idea, but they had not created these other episodes yet.
Yeah, and for me, this is a good pilot. I'd probably give this episode a 7 out of 10. It's not a bad episode of television by any means whatsoever, but it sets the premise and it does what a pilot should.
Yes.
And I'd say it's good television for that reason. But then we get to Lawnmower Dog, which is a hilarious episode and a bit of a mind blow as well, too. I really, really like this one. Is this the one where it's Cronin? No. Okay.
That's episode 6. That's number 9.
Getting ahead of myself, but a lot of quotable lines in this one. Ryan and I quote each other on this one all the time. I really, really like what they did with this one. Very funny episode. Definitely an 8 or above for me there. Anatomy Park, another 8 or above. Really great for me as well.
To me, Anatomy Park was the episode that got me into this show.
Okay.
I watched the first 2 episodes with my dad, enjoyed them. I said, this is really different. This is my cup of tea. But, you know, I thought it'd be like The Simpsons. I just watched the episodes when they were on TV, not watch them as they released.
Right.
I watched Anatomy Park. I said, this is the show. This is definitely one of my favorites for this show, for this season, I should say. It's definitely not, compared when you look into the episodes of season 2 or 3, one of the best, but definitely I think the first home run that they hit with this season. Maybe it's just because, you know, I have the love for theme parks in my life, so
and
I love what they do.
Jurassic Park too.
And Jurassic Park.
I love that's my favorite part about this episode. I'd probably say 7, 8, 8.5 for number 3.
8, 9, 9.5.
8, 9, 9.5. Okay. So far, no amazing episodes for me yet. M. Night Shyamalan.
This
Aliens.
was the weakest episode of the season for me. Not memorable at all. The basis, do you remember this one? This is where they're trying to, these aliens are sort of in Rick's head trying to steal his recipe for concentrated dark matter.
Yep. I like this one. I really like this one.
Okay.
I thought it was just as good as, you know, Lawnmower Dog, or not quite on the level of your Anatomy Park, which was really a fun episode. Yeah. But I definitely say a great episode in my book, and that's just because I liked all the twists and turns in it. Okay. I liked how they kept subverting what they had set up, and I really enjoyed it through and through. Okay. Episode 5, what'd you think of Meeseeks? Mr. Meeseeks.
Excellent episode.
Hi, Mr. Meeseeks. Look at me.
I like when they can't help Jerry, and they're like, I've been alive for 3 hours, an eternity in Meeseeks time.
Another hilarious episode, another hilarious one.
Yes.
I definitely say it's better than episode 4 on every level.
Oh, yes.
Probably 8.5 for me.
I give this one as well a 9, like Lawnmower Dog. Yes.
Right on. And then we get to episode 6, which this one blew my mind.
The best episode in the season. One of the best episodes that they put out for the show.
Of all time.
Yes.
Of all times. And I'm not just saying in the show. One of the best cartoon episodes, animated series episodes I've ever seen. This one blew my mind. After watching it, I went, wow, this show has some potential. That was incredible. And the best part about this show, and my biggest worry after watching it, is, are they going to revisit what happens in this episode? Mm-hmm. And sure enough, they do. Yes. And this becomes the catalyst for all the drama that happens between Rick and Morty for the rest of the show. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think this is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. There are, I'm looking back at this now, I think there are 2 10 out of 10s in this episode. In this season. This is definitely the first one that they create. Incredible. So, I mean, the fact of everything they fit into a 21-minute episode. Yeah. I mean, it's twisted. It feels like you're watching a feature film in this episode because they fit so much in it. Yeah. And it's funny. It's poignant. It's dark at times. Yes. It's incredible. Yes.
Yeah, it is really, really incredible. There's no other way to say it. You've got to check this one out if you're a Rick and Morty fan. If you haven't yet, I'm curious. Do you guys like Rick Potion number 9 as much as we do? Let us know in the comments.
it's one of our first episodes to feature a song. I love the episodes that have songs.
Yes.
The I Love Morty song at the
Yep.
flu season dance.
Yep.
I love Morty.
Yes.
And I hope Morty loves me.
Yeah. And it captures everything. It captures the funniest parts of the show and the darkest parts of the show all in one. It's amazing.
Yep.
Episode 7 was a big downgrade for me.
Ooh, I love this episode. Okay.
The storyline with the titular Gazorp,
yes,
and Morty, you know, his what is he called? Morty Jr.
Yeah, Morty Jr.
Morty Jr. and Morty's storyline for me in this one did not work for me.
Okay. Now, this is also our first episode, for those of you who don't remember. This is our first summer adventure.
Yes. And that's why I don't give this one a bad score.
Okay.
Because everything with Summer and Rick in this episode is really great.
Yeah.
Really, really great. It's just the Morty storyline, and this one for me was weak. So I'm going to give this one a 7.5. Okay,
yeah, I love this episode. I'm gonna give this one an 8.5.
Okay.
I love the Morty storyline. I love, my favorite part about it is, you know, this creature, this Gazorp, as we hear, they're the most like aggressive creatures in the galaxy, and it's just destroying things and wanting to murder people. And I love every time it does something like that. You've got Beth and Jerry, sort of the judgy parents in the background with their newspapers. Nice. Yeah. Well done, Morty. You know, I love that. I love the snarkiness, and I love the storyline on the Gazorp planet with the dichotomy of the female and the male Gazorpians.
Just every female joke that they're kind of poking at there is just pure gold. It's pure gold. It's actually pretty intellectual too, if you think about it. Like, they took that idea of an all female society to the extreme. And they make it both funny and like, oh, wait, is that actually what it is? You know, you're kind of thinking about it too.
Hey. I'm here for you if you need it.
One of the biggest parts of the funniest parts of the episode.
Is this your man slave?
Yeah. And then, of course, we get to episode number 8, Rixty Minutes, which is interdimensional cable number 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let me say, this is a what do they call them? You have the term.
Bottle episode?
No, it's
clip show.
Yes, like what Family Guy does. They've got cutaways. It's just a series of cutaways.
Yes.
And
clip show,
it can be poorly handled. They do not handle these poorly, because as you have the clip show going on, you have an incredible storyline that's happening outside of just Rick and Morty watching interdimensional cable.
Yes.
This is the one where you have Beth and Jerry wearing the interdimensional goggles, seeing what their lives are like in different dimensions, and they stumble across the ones on what their lives would be like if they never got married and never had Summer, if they aborted Summer, I believe.
Heartbreaking. Yeah. And it's really deep, but it's also funny at the same time. Yeah. And it's one of my favorite episodes. This one I have a hard time not giving it a 10 out of 10. I love it that much.
Yeah, I have a hard time giving it a 10 out of 10, and I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 for sure. I mean, I think a lot of it is just gag humor with,
it's just a bunch of one-offs.
Yeah. If they had a whole episode that was about, the interdimensional lives of Beth and Jerry, and we saw other versions, or even focus fine-tuned on that world where they never have Summer, and Jerry's a movie film writer who's dating Kristen Stewart, Beth is a surgeon, not just a horse surgeon, I think it would have been a little bit better, but I really enjoyed it.
The reason why I give this one a 10 out of 10 is because of what you just mentioned, the perfect balance. Whoever directed this one did a phenomenal job. It's a perfect balance of Rick and Morty sitting and watching TV, something extremely mundane, paired with this incredibly emotional and deep, and it adds so much backstory to our surrounding background characters. It's really a special episode for me, I think.
Okay. Yeah. That'll take us to Something Wicked This Way Comes, and this is
this the Pluto episode?
Pluto is a planet, Jerry says.
What do you think about this one?
Love this episode.
Okay, you love it. Okay.
I mean, like I said, I think I love, with the exception of episode 4, I love every episode in this season. I give this one an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
It is better than great. It's not quite amazing. I love Jerry finally being validated. I think Will Arnett's Jerry is one of the most incredible characters on TV. And Rick sort of breaks the fourth wall in season 2 in explaining what Jerry really is.
We'll get to that. Though.
We'll get to that for sure. But I just love how Will Arnett does it. I think Will Arnett's amazing in everything.
Yeah, so 8.5 for you for this one?
8.5 out of 10. I love everything that happens on Pluto. I think it's wonderful.
I can't remember what else happens besides just Pluto in this one. I can't think of it. And that's kind of the reason why I think this one is a 7 for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hilarious. There's many episodes of Rick and Morty that I always find funny.
Is this? In fact, I think it is.
Is it?
In the same Pluto episode, this is Rick and Summer and Mr. Needful.
Is it? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because Rick is bored, and then Summer gets jealous of Summer being with another old man, and then Jerry comes back.
That's right. Yes.
Morty comes back home, and Rick is all excited, but he goes, "Oh, yeah."
Interesting premise, but both of those storylines for me just didn't stand out compared to everything else that was happening in the season. I just like
it's a fun episode.
There's been better,
especially because we're both Twilight Zone fans. It pays great homage to the Twilight Zone series, absolutely. So very enjoyable. And that'll bring us to me the second 10 out of 10 in this season.
Yes,
Close Encounters of the Morty Kind.
And this is where we get to see all the alternate versions.
This is where we are first introduced to the Council of Ricks.
Yep, the Citadel of Ricks.
Yeah, the Citadel of Ricks, and the Council of Ricks, and that, Rick and Morty, we understand why Rick is so dependent on Morty to go on these adventures. It's not because he wants to be with his grandson. Mm-hmm. It's because Morty's, for lack of a better term, Morty brainwaves so conflict with Rick's genius brainwaves that it camouflages him from the galactic government. Yeah,
and it sets up just the entire dynamic of these two characters, deepens it. You give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can give it a 10 out of 10. A 9.5 out of 10, maybe. I think that's probably what I would go with, but phenomenal episode of television, really incredible. And a bit hard to watch, especially if you can see as close as we can right now. That wall of Morty's in this episode.
With the little needles.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, of course, I was thinking into it. I was like, is that each one is a Morty that ended up here somehow? And it's just like, it's thought-provoking.
Well, that's why... Rick has, we see this, Rick C-137 is being framed by this other Rick for killing all these Ricks, and he kills the Ricks and takes the Mortys for this reason, so he can stay off the grid.
Yeah, and it sets up another long-standing storyline with Eye Patch Morty.
Yeah, Evil Morty.
Yeah, yes. Evil Morty, and really amazing episode.
All right.
And we get to our finale. I think you like this one a lot.
I love this. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
It does have some continuity that comes on in later seasons.
Yeah.
I also, just sidebar, because I love the movie Titanic. Maybe this is why I relate with Jerry. I love the whole Titanic adventure. I think it's amazing. And I love the party sequences too. Anytime they bring in all these different characters. It's the first time we see Bird Person. First time we meet Squanchy.
Yep.
Slow Morbius. I love Slow Morbius.
Yep.
We have an awesome Rick dance. You put your left foot forward and your right foot back and scoot them around like it's a Nordic track. Yes, I love it.
A lot of big laughs in this one for me.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was as great as the rest of the season.
Okay, yeah.
Not the worst episode of the season by far, but definitely better than good, but not quite great for me. 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Seeing how it sets up all these characters and how they eventually turn out, I can appreciate it for that. But I prefer those episodes later. But all it does is just bring into these characters, like you said, Squanchy, Bird Person.
Yeah.
I didn't really get it right away. You were getting all hyped about it because you had already seen what happens.
Right, yes.
And then when they show back up again, that's when it becomes amazing for me.
I mean, the big line in this one, though, is delivered by Bird Person, where we find out what wubba lubba dub dub means.
Yeah.
Bird Person says in bird culture, this means I am in great pain.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Rick is in pain, he's not just this crazy old mad scientist, he's got a deeper complexity to him. And then by the end of the episode, he stops saying it.
And a through line that kind of follows through in the remaining season finales. They try to go deeper with Rick's character each season finale.
Yeah.
And I think that, so overall scores for season 1. Season 1 is a great episode, great season of television, I think. I'd say it's not quite amazing yet.
Yep.
Not there yet.
I'm right there with you.
But man, I don't know if I should give it an 8 or an 8.5 because, like I said, there is those 10 out of 10s that really make me want to give it that 8.5.
I'm with you on an 8. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's a great season. It is great. Yeah. And it's hard to do for an adult humor cartoon to call it great.
Yeah.
This is a great season of television. Nothing more. I don't think they do anything incredible until the next season.
Yeah.
But every one of these episodes is great. There are some 10s, there are some duds.
Yeah.
But overall, this is to me an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Season 1.
Yeah.
Which is extremely high praise for an adult humored cartoon.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on to season 2 now, Ryan. See if you can cue it up.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh,
and Morty. Okay. I'm remembering now where we are.
I'm just going to start off with you right now so we can save some time. Every one of these episodes, except for Look Who's Purging Now, is a 10 out of 10 for me.
Oh, they're all 10 out of 10s for you.
This is a perfect season of television.
Wow. Yep. Okay.
So, I mean, I'm happy to talk episodes with you, but if you're wondering my score, 10 out of 10 for everything, 7.5 for episode 9.
Season, with the time travel plot in the end of season 1, I didn't know if they would follow through with it. Season premiere really surprised me, and when you said season 2 was one of your favorite, like you said, it's your favorite, right?
Oh, it's the best. Yeah.
Okay, yes. You said season 2 is your favorite. I was like, man, I don't know. And for me, I think after all this, it's still my second favorite.
Okay, yeah.
But that season premiere really made me believe that you were saying, this is my favorite one. I could see what you're saying. Probably, 9.5 for that one. This one, Morty Night Run, not one of my favorite episodes.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
We got to talk this.
I love this episode. I love the overarching message in it, and it comes in at the end.
Okay.
With, our Morty, C-137 Morty follows almost up with the episode 8 from last season where we meet all the Mortys. He is the Mortiest of the Mortys. He doesn't just go along with Rick's plans. He has empathy for these beings. In this case, it's our character Fart.
Yeah.
Which he enjoys the name. Yeah.
I know you love the song. For me in this one, it just didn't work. It just felt like an excuse for people that are tripping on drugs to watch this show. I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading into it too much.
And I mean, I love, there's so many small parts of this episode I love Roy.
Okay.
When they're playing Roy.
Yeah.
Blitz and Shits. I love
that is a standout sequence. I
love Crumbopulous Michael. Oh boy, here I go killing again. Hey Morty, I buy weapons from your grandfather.
Yeah. There's a lot of jokes in this one.
And how amazing, to me at least, maybe you're forgetting about it or maybe you just don't feel the same way. The Jerry daycare.
Yeah, that is really funny.
I love that.
That is really funny. Yeah, I did forget it. I forgot that was in this one. I mean, for me, everything that happens with the fart monster and Morty is not that great, except for standout sequence, the Roy game, like you said, and standout sequences with Jerry. But other than that,
what about Gear World? You don't like in Gear World where he's flying around and getting everyone's head and they're all just kill themselves and destroys the entire Gear society?
Kind of a passable sequence for me. I like the concept of Gear World, but it's nothing special to me. Not like some of the other planets that they visit are special to me.
There's also a callback in this one. I just remembered.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Yeah, no, different callback.
Different callback.
I thought this was the episode with the chair people, but that's in season 1. That I want a large person with extra people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So episode 1 for me, 9.5. Episode 2, 7.5 for me. Still a good episode, by all means.
Okay.
Autoerotic assimilation. I don't know if I like this one a lot or not. I go back and forth. You explain why you like it to me, and I'm like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. But then part of me is just like, I don't get it.
Right.
I don't get it. How could he fall in love with this planet? I don't understand that.
Because he's Rick.
Yeah.
He can't. He's Rick. He does everything big. He can't fall in love with a person. He falls in love with a hive mind. An entire planet of people.
Yeah.
And this is an episode again where we're peeling back the layers of Rick. The ending of this episode gets me.
Yeah.
Really, really hard sequence to watch where he's in the garage, creates a little monster, he kills it with the laser. Then he sticks his head in as if he's going to blow himself up before he passes out drunk, and he falls out before the laser hits him in the head because he's just so broken up about Unity dumping him. I think it's an emotional episode, and I love the story. I just love everything that happens on Unity.
For me, that part where Rick tries to kill himself felt just way over the top. I just didn't understand it. It's like, well, you were sitting there being all teared up about it, and I was sitting here laughing like, I don't get it. That's hilarious to me.
It shows us that Rick has other emotions.
Yeah.
He cares about someone other than himself. I mean, he cared about someone, and she left him. It's basically Beth's Beth, right? Beth's storyline on how she feels that her father left her.
Yeah.
Someone that she loved and adored left her.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how I feel about this episode. I really enjoyed this episode.
So is this a 10 out of 10 for you as
Every
well?
episode except for the Purge episode.
But okay, got it. And for number 3 for me, probably a 7.5 as well.
Okay.
Total Recall. This is a special one, I think. Remind me what the plot is in this one.
This is the alien parasite that comes in on one of their shows and just keeps on creating characters, and they can't figure out who is. This is Mr. Poopy Butthole introduced, who obviously is not a parasite, as we find out. But then Pencilvester, Reverse Draft, Mr. Beauregard, Mr.
This is a very special episode of television. One idea.
Sleepy Gary.
And what's great is that they don't go to any other planets.
No.
They don't go on a grand adventure. It all takes place inside their house, and that's what makes this one special. For me, this one is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I love this one too.
Mm-hmm.
Really great one. Just the whole thing with Mr. Poopy Butthole was a big twist to me. The whole episode I was thinking, no way this guy is real. And then it turns out he's real.
Well, this introduces a new theory to the show, to viewers.
Yes, that's right.
With every episode, now in the episodes where we're referenced C-137, we know we are watching Rick C-137. But in the episodes that's not referenced, we are watching different Rick and Mortys. Yes. Every instance is separate from another, which is why in this universe, Mr. Poopy Butthole is part of their storyline. That's why we see in the opening sequence, he's there all the time. None of these other parasites that only create positive memories are, but Mr. Poopy Butthole, in whatever universe this is, he's there, and he's another character that is a favorite that comes back, and woo-wee, we love it.
It is an amazing, fantastic, incredible episode of TV. I love it. Get Swifty. You think this one's a 10 out of 10 too?
10 out of 10.
I really like this one, but it's not a 10 out of 10 for me. It's an 8.5 for me.
Okay, there are a lot of great things about this episode. The first time I watched it, I would not have given it a 10 out of 10, but when we just rewatch it, there's so many small intricacies in this episode that I love. I love the whole storyline with Beth, Jerry, and Summer, where they're all worshiping the heads. And, I love how invested Summer gets in it. Yep. I love that. And I love Morty's side adventure where he goes and visits Bird Person. Yeah. This is what we call in bird culture a dick move.
Yes.
Now, overall, Get Swifty. I mean, it was kind of stupid. Yeah. I like Ice-T's storyline.
I love Ice-T's storyline. I love the songs that they sing in this one. Yeah. They're really, really funny. I love them. Yeah. I love them. They're really great. And like you said, Beth and Jerry's and Summer's storyline is just phenomenal in this one. It is. The best thing about the show is when they take one simple idea and push it to the absolute extreme. Yeah. And I love it like that. Yeah. And 8.5 out of 10 for me. A better than great episode. Mm-hmm. The Ricks Must Be Crazy. I can't remember this one. It's drawn me a blank.
This is the car battery.
Oh my God, this one's amazing. Yeah. This one is absolutely amazing.
This is I mean, I want another 10 out of 10, hits it out of the park. Yeah. Everything with Summer in the car. Keep Summer safe. Incredible. Yeah. Everything inside the miniverse and then the microverse and the Google box and the Flugel crank. I love it.
I love it. The only thing is I didn't know how far they were going to go with that premise. How deep are they going to go in here? And at some point it felt like, okay, I'm kind of getting tired of this.
I like, so they went once for the miniverse, which was with Zeep Zanuck and, Peace Among, I don't know if I can do that on the internet, flipping off Peace Among World. And then he creates his own, and that's a microverse. Yes. And then the Tinyverse, we get something different because they are not developed yet. And that's where they get stranded. Yep. And that's one of my favorite sequences when you have Zeep and Rick creating different things in this, primitive environment. Yeah.
That was a cool sequence. Yeah. This is an amazing episode of television. I really love it. I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. Okay. Could be convinced for a 9.5 though. Big Trouble in Little Sanchez. Another one of my favorites. A really, really great one. I love Tiny Rick. Are you thinking of something?
There's an episode in it. I think it's this season. Is this the season where and I'm trying to remember which episode it is, where Rick and Jerry go to marriage counseling? Which episode was that?
Rick and Jerry?
I'm sorry, Beth and Jerry.
Is
that in this season?
I can't remember where it is.
Yeah, okay.
But Big Trouble in Little Sanchez is really a great one for me, man.
Yeah. No, this is an amazing episode.
We
I love
keep
Tiny
singing the
Rick.
song,
Yeah.
man.
Let me out. Let me out. This is not a dance.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's another 9 out of 10 for me. I really enjoyed this one a lot. Let's keep going.
And that's why this is the episode, because I remember the first thing he does when he gets back into his adult body, and I think he's naked, he picks up Beth and Jerry. That's the other side thing about this episode is Tiny Rick is so amazing that we forget how amazing the whole storyline is with Beth and Jerry and their their depictions of each other, their holographs or whatever they call them.
Really complex sequence.
Demographics.
A complex idea, and it's brought to fruition there. I really like it a lot.
Yeah. Oh no, they're codependent. Yeah.
And then of course we get interdimensional cable 2, which I thought they couldn't top the first one. They did it.
Yeah.
They did it. I could not believe they pulled it off. A 10 out of 10. Interdimensional Cable 2 is another fantastic episode. I couldn't believe how good it was.
Yeah, all the interdimensional cables are hilarious.
Yeah.
My favorite being Ants in My Eyes Johnson. He's my favorite in this one.
I'm Ants in My Eyes Johnson.
Yeah. I also can't feel anything. Could be on fire right now. Don't know. Yeah. But the storyline with
the through line with Jerry's
Jerry
operation
and Shrimply
is
Pibbles.
So incredible.
Yes.
And a relevant thing. You could think about that in our own world, and you're like, wow, what would you do there? And it is interesting. And it's awesome. It's
obviously
hilarious.
it gets nullified at the end, but remember, Jerry gets shot 30 times.
He dies
in the end and dies, but they're in a super advanced alien hospital. And that's they said it's like bandaging a cut.
I was shocked when they killed Jerry. I was like, what? Oh my God, did Jerry just die? No. And then, it was a 10 out of 10 masterpiece.
Yeah.
All
right. Purging now.
Purging episode. I'd probably say I like this one.
It starts off really well.
Yeah.
I just think the whole middle part of this episode, where they're at the lighthouse and the guy's reading the screenplay and they're waiting. Remember, the side story is just Summer being mean to Jerry and get a job.
Yeah.
It was slow. I'm going to give this one like a 7.5 out of 10. It's the only weak episode on the season to me.
I like the planet itself. I like all that's going on there. And my favorite part of this one is they just go over the top with the action sequences, just completely over the top. And I love it for that. I probably give it an 8.
I love when Morty loses it and he just starts, the whole episode, he's anti-purge. How can you enjoy this? And then he finally just snaps and he gets the robotic suit and he's just purging everyone, and to the point where there's dead bodies and he's still just melting them.
Yeah, absolutely. Great episode for me. Not quite great for you, Ryan.
Yeah.
We get to episode 10 here. This one I was kind of mixed on after first watching. And then I thought about it. I went to bed. I slept on it. I thought about what you had told me about it. And I realized this is a special episode of TV.
This is possibly the greatest season finale. Maybe not series finale, because obviously this is a series finale. And I think there are some better series finales out there. But the greatest season finale when we know there's going to be a continuation ever made in my books.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say that I thought this was a great episode through and through. I thought that the way that they left it, I was like, well, are they just going to end it like that? Or are they going to pick up where we left off? And I was assured in season 3 premiere. And
now let's hold on here with this.
Yeah.
You watched this all at once.
Yeah.
Rick and Morty diehards out there with me.
Yeah.
This was a painful 18 or 20 months, however long it was, because this ended in 15 or early 16.
Yeah.
We did not get the season premiere until April of 2018.
Wow.
This was, for lack of a better term, this was painful to wait for. Yeah. Maybe it was 2017. I think I misspoke. So it was 15 to 17.
Almost every concept in this one is incredible.
Yeah.
Tiny Planet is amazing. Corn on the cob planet is amazing.
I like Screaming Sun Planet.
Screaming Sun Planet, amazing. Just these one-off gags are hilarious. They're amazing, but the titular wedding is incredible. We get, like I said, the setup was in season 1. Everything comes together at the end of season 2, and they pulled it off.
How about the end here? First of all, of course, with 9 Inch Nails' song "Hurt" playing in the background.
Yeah.
Rick turning himself in to, I love even more than that, to the Smiths getting back to Earth and
Yes.
seeing what the Galactic Federation has turned Earth into.
And I was afraid that it would just be a cop-out.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that, okay, Rick's going to make this, change in his character, and they're going to make us think that he's changed a little bit, and then nothing's going to happen. We're going to pick up in season 3, and it's just going to be an alternate version of Rick comes in and saves him, and that's the end, or whatever, or something like that. And that's the best part about this and season 3 is that they follow through with it, but getting ahead of myself.
Let's talk our overall score.
10 out of 10 for you here. 9.5 out of 10 for the season finale here.
Yeah.
Overall, I'd say Rick and Morty became an amazing show in season 2.
Okay.
Definitely a 9 out of 10 for me here.
This is the perfect season of television for me. 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Enough said. On to season 3.
Yeah. And we pick up with season 3, episode 1 is my favorite episode of Rick and Morty.
Okay.
Of all time, out of every episode I've seen, it's my favorite episode. I thought that it did absolutely everything incredible. There's not 1 second in this one that I don't like.
Yep.
Yeah.
10 out of 10, without a doubt. Picks up right where it left off. The idea of Rick overtaking that machine that they're trying to be in his mind and jumping from different people's minds. And how about the standoff at the end with Summer? Yeah.
Amazing.
And Morty shoots him, and good thing you knew it was a fake gun, Morty.
Yeah.
Hold on. Your battery's running low.
Oh, I better keep talking while I plug in.
All right. So
talk about episode 1.
Rick Shank Redemption, incredible. Also, for those of you who don't remember, this episode dropped out of nowhere. I think it dropped on April Fool's Day. No one saw it coming when this episode was going to come out, but man, oh man, was it incredible. Yeah, 10 out of 10 for sure. Love this episode. Love the backstory. Made everyone crazy for Szechuan sauce.
Yes.
Even though that was a made up backstory.
That's why this one's my favorite episode.
How about the twist at the end? I know is your favorite part.
Yeah. But I mean, the Szechuan sauce, just that this one had a cultural impact on our society.
Yeah.
This is the very, very few TV shows can do that. Rick and Morty pulled it off, and that's why this one's so special.
Yep.
And the flashback sequence where we kind of see this fake origin of Rick, it is fake, but to me, I kind of believed it a little bit, and I thought, wow, that is heartbreaking for Rick's origin to be like that. But it's also the writers kind of playing with it and saying, that's not the show we're telling. That's not the story we're telling. We're going to show you this and tell you it's not real because that's not the point of our show.
Right.
And I think that is genius writing. Writing.
Yeah. And then my favorite part of this episode, I know you're a huge fan of it as well with the writing.
Yes.
Is we find out that Rick turning himself in at the end of the episode was nothing but a selfish ploy, as you see, to not only eliminate the government, but to eliminate Jerry from his life.
It was all about Jerry.
Yeah, it was. Jerry tried to get rid of me, so I got rid of him. I eliminated him, Morty.
And it is hilarious, but also deeply disturbing at the same time. And that is what's so special about this episode is that it can be absolutely laugh out loud funny. It's all about Szechuan sauce, but it's also about Rick being, in the end, the most selfish person in the universe.
Yeah.
And that's what's so incredible. It's dark and disturbing, and it's incredible. I can't. We could talk about this one all day. Let's get to episode 2 here. Rick Mancing the Stone is a Mad Max episode.
Yes,
and I like it a lot. I think this one you don't like as much as the others.
I love this episode. I'm gonna give this one probably a 9.5 out of 10.
Really? Yeah. Okay, yeah. I think this one follows through. That's what season 3 is so special to me about, is that it doesn't just make it one-off episodes.
This episode
follows through.
Yeah, this episode is all about Morty and Summer coping with their parents' divorce.
Yes. Yeah. And the Mad Max type world that they bring into is brought to full realism.
Yep.
And I love every second of it there. And I love what's going on with Beth in this one. I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember what's going on in this episode.
Me too.
Beth is just in regular Earth with the automatons, Morty and Rick and Summer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But meanwhile, this almost all focuses on Mad Max world because we have Morty's storyline with his giant arm, which I love.
I love that.
And then we have Summer's storyline falling in love with Buckethead.
Yep. Yeah. 9 out of 10 for me. Amazing
9.5
episode.
for me.
Okay. Pickle Rick, I think we are going to deviate here on this one. I think Pickle Rick is another amazing episode.
I think it's an amazing episode. It's not as good as the first two.
Okay.
It's a 9 out of 10. I think whereas as cool as the pickle sequences are,
I love it.
they're unnecessary.
I love the pickle sequences. It's
I
so
more
great.
like the character development. This is a big Beth episode.
It's a great Beth episode.
Yeah.
One of, I'd say, not my favorite Beth episode. That's yet to come, but definitely a big family dynamic episode. They go to a therapist in this one.
Yeah, Dr. Wong.
A lot of, you could do a lot of psychological evaluation in this one, but we also get some great one-off gags. The guy that he frees from prison and everything like
Jaguar,
that.
right?
Jaguar, yeah. And just everything with Pickle Rick is awesome. And how all these Russian agents are terrified of the pickle guy.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. It's an amazing episode. I love it.
Yeah, it's a 9 out of 10 for me. Like I said, I don't know how much it advances the plot. Like I said, we get to see a lot of Beth, which comes into play here later on in the
I think
finale.
it does advance the plot because it follows. That's what every episode in season 3 does for me, except for this next one we're going to talk about here.
Yeah.
But it just advances the emotional arc of every character. And that's what I thought that was really special about this season.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we get to Vindicators 3, the Return of the World, and they're kind of a one-off.
This was a stab at, the Marvel
universe.
movies. I think this came out right around the time of like maybe
really funny, but just nothing significant to say.
Yeah, this is like a 6 out of 10 for me. And I seldom to give low scores, but this was a stupid episode.
Okay, I wouldn't say it's that low for me. Okay. I'd say 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. A good episode, but just, it was still funny. There were so many things that were funny.
The episode is sort of centered around one character who doesn't ever come up again. Noob.
Yeah. It is kind of throwaway, and that's why it's not as great as the others.
Okay, so now we're at the halfway point. The Whirly Dirly Conspiracy.
10 out of 10.
This is a Jerry and Rick episode.
10 out of 10.
This is a 10 out of 10. This is absolutely incredible.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, almost every episode in the rest of the show for me is like, I'll forget it. Episode 5 is definitely a 10 out of 10.
We hit our stride definitely this season here in these next 3 episodes.
Yeah, and the Whirly Dirly Conspiracy is just, your favorite scene. Rick calls out Jerry and breaks down who Jerry really is. Yeah. And it's thought-provoking and it's real. And these guys have a love-hate friendship relationship in this one. There's a lot of twists and turns that happen, and it is just incredible. I love it. A 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I love the world they're in. I love the planet.
The world is awesome.
Where no one can die. Yeah, the little kids are chasing killing each other. But then of course they turn off the anti-death, and one of the kids kills the other and doesn't get back up. Oh man, this is an amazing episode. Yeah, 10 out of 10 for me as well.
Yeah.
Love the train sequence. I love stupid Rick in this, where they have to neutralize his brainwaves. I want cookies. I love that.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. And that brings us to episode 6.
I'm gonna say about episode 6. If it weren't for the next episode, this is to me the best episode of the season.
Got it. Okay. Rest and relaxation. Yeah. 10 out of 10. Yes. Again,
incredible.
This is what makes season 3 so special for me. It's not only that there's like the other seasons, there's 2 10 out of 10s. This one, it's not just 1 10 out of 10. It's 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Yeah. It's just right out of the gate. Just every episode is one of the best concepts ever.
It seems like how you feel about season 3 is how I felt about season 2.
Yeah.
I have more episodes in season 3 that I felt were not quite 10 out of 10, so great, but not quite a 10 out of 10 Rick Mancing the story, not quite a 10 out of 10 Pickle Rick, definitely not a 10 out of 10 Vindicators. There are definitely a lot of 10 out of 10s here, but it's not quite as perfect as season 2 to me.
This episode was, for lack of a better word, sadistic.
Yes.
I just couldn't believe how far they went. The toxic Rick and Morty were just heartbreaking to watch. It was hard to watch, difficult to watch.
I love toxic one. Oh, you're right, Rick. I'm a piece of shit. I'm sorry, Rick. I'm so terrible and I smell bad. I'm sorry.
And it's hilarious, but it's also like you're laughing, but you're like, should I be laughing? Because it's all kind of true.
And how amazing. I mean, this adventure of this episode is incredible, but how amazing is non-toxic Morty and his adventure afterwards?
Yes.
Where he becomes a stockbroker.
Amazing.
Has his apartment uptown.
It's great. I love it. Every aspect of this episode is amazing. Mm-hmm. I just love it so much. And then we get to the Rick Lantis mix-up. The way you explained it to me made me appreciate it even more. a big misdirect. You said that the way that they set this one up was it was going to be an Atlantis episode.
Yeah, this is why it's called the Rick Atlantis mix-up. All we got in the next time on Rick and Morty, it's Rick and Morty are going to Atlantis. That's all we got. So we had no idea that they were going to hit us with Tales from the Citadel.
And it was, you can't look away.
No.
You can't look away.
Yeah.
It is engrossing. It's hilarious. Another 10 out of 10.
Yeah. It's the Citadel is incredible.
Yep.
And of course, the twist at the end, we get the callback
Yep.
of evil Morty,
who
has become president of the Citadel of Ricks.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It is just the world they brought to life here was so incredible and so relevant to our society.
Right. And I do remember now, I've looked into this, what they're calling him. They're not calling him evil Morty. Yeah. They're calling him the Rickest Morty. Our Morty, C-137, is the Mortiest Morty. Well, they're calling this Morty the Rickest Morty, obviously, because he has more tendencies of a Rick than of a Morty.
Just thought-provoking idea after thought-provoking idea. Yeah. Incredible episode. Mm-hmm. And this one, I think we're going to deviate here a little bit. Yes. Morty's Mind Blowers, episode 8. For me, this is another 10 out of 10. I love Morty's Mind Blowers.
Okay, let me just put it this way.
Okay.
After we get Interdimensional Cable 1, after we get Interdimensional Cable 2, this is what they did as their clip episode for season 3. And I think the story, as much as I like the Mind Blowers, the story going on outside is not nearly as good.
That's my favorite part. Seeing how far Rick has gone, how selfish he is. This is as extreme, the most extreme selfishness we've seen since the season premiere in this one. He won't even let Morty know that he's been wrong before. Right. That's how far he went. And that's what Morty's Mind Blowers is.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this one. It's so dark. And it's also great because you get to see some clips that would have never seen before.
Right.
And it's, I just love it. I love it.
I thought it was of them, it was just weak compared to the other two. And then we'll talk about what we're going to see the equivalent in season 4, which blew both of our minds.
Yeah. And I think the way that Summer just comes in and says, "Oh, is this one of those?"
Is this a category 3? And Rick goes, I don't know what that is. Who are you? And she goes, "Oh, a category 4."
Yeah. And she just fixes it all. And it comes back later in season 4. Yeah. And it's just, I love it. I love every second of it. It's amazing.
All right.
And then of course we get episode 9, the ABCs of Beth. This one kind of makes me sick to my stomach when you think about the imaginary world and what happens there. Yeah. But it really deeply analyzes Beth and everything about Beth. Yeah. And another 10 out of 10 for me. I really like this one.
I'm going to give this one just a notch down of a 9 out of 10, but still enjoyable. It definitely gives us
storyline. Best storyline is in this one, except for one in season 4. I think is really good too.
Well, the one I think you're going to talk about in season 4 is what's set up in the season finale here, which comes up next. But yeah, I mean, like I said, this episode wasn't quite as memorable to me.
It's actually set up in this episode. At the end of this episode, she, Rick says, "I can make a perfect clone of you." At the end.
Is that the end of this one? I thought that was all in the season 10. That's episode 10.
No, that's at the end of this episode, and then you don't know what happens in episode 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this episode, I just find it to be, I don't know, slow at parts in what's it called, Imagination Land or whatever it is. I just find some of those parts slow. I love the idea behind it. I love Rick explaining why he had to create it. Yep. All these things he had to create, or a talking knife and, handcuffs, pink handcuffs.
It shows you Beth's real personality. Yeah. Up to this point, you haven't really seen her true potential until you get to see inside her head.
We see a little bit of it in Pickle Rick. I think that's the only other time.
Yeah.
But yes. And then that takes us to the finale.
This one was disappointing. Yeah. Big disappointment on this one.
Rick Morty date, which, reminded me a little bit of the Manchurian Candidate in the level of disappointingness.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Some aspects of this one I really like. The Minecraft joke was really funny, I thought, at the beginning. And the setup was kind of funny. But in the end, I just don't get why Jerry came back, and they just kind of brought him back at the end. It didn't feel as smooth as they could have done it.
Yeah, I agree. And I just want to put this out there. The ABCs of Beth too. We missed an episode where Rick, yeah, I think it's the ABCs of Beth. That's the one where Jerry's dating the alien.
Yeah.
I forgot to talk about that as well. I did love that storyline. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a great storyline.
Yeah.
And in this one, there's not that many other storylines that I can think of as memorable besides the one with the president.
That's the main storyline, absolutely. And then Beth throwing herself at Jerry, which is it clone Beth? Is it not clone Beth? We don't know, and we'll find out in season 4. Or do we? Question mark.
That's what makes this one not a bad episode in my book.
Yeah,
is because
a good episode.
The whole time I was guessing. I'm guessing, is this the Beth clone? Is this not the Beth clone?
The whole point of the episode is, I mean, Rick and Morty's whole point is just to make the president look like a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, like I like the irony at the very end where I just garnered a peace treaty between the Middle East and Israel, Israel and Palestine, which has some major implications today.
Yeah.
Obviously they did it a little too early, but what are you gonna give this one? Yeah, I'm gonna give this one a 7 out of 10. It's a good episode, but compared to the other season finales, come on, guys, this didn't feel like a season finale.
I'd say it still had some unique aspects to it. Mm-hmm. So I'd say I give it a little bit higher, 7.5 probably. Okay. But yeah, that's about it for season 3. Overall, what's your big score for season 3?
9.5 out of 10. It comes close to season 2. It definitely does. There were just, I could even forgive the slower episodes like Rick Man Sing the Stone or Pickle Rick in my mind. But Vindicators 3, Morty's Mind Blowers, and the finale are just there's nothing I can compare them to in season 2. There wasn't anything that left me wanting more in season 2 like these 3 episodes did in season 3, which is why I'm going to give it just a tick below a 9.5 out of 10.
Got it. Yeah. So for me, no season of Rick and Morty has yet to be that perfect season of television for me. This is going to be also a 9.5 out of 10 for me. For me, this season 3 tops season 2 for me though. Okay. I thought so. Just this series of episodes here, from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it's 5, 10 out of 10s in a row for me. Okay. That's what really did it
and
for
to me, it's just 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
They hit their stride right in the middle, but Morty's Mind Blowers to me brought it to a halt.
Yeah. So that's kind of my score for our scores for season 3.
Yeah. So you give it a 9.5 as well?
9.5 as well.
Okay, perfect.
As close to a 10 as I can give it. Yeah. And can't say the same for season 4, unfortunately. Yeah. Season 4 let me down.
See, I mean, it wasn't season 2 and it wasn't season 3. I think we had from episodes 1 to 5 and then 6 to 10, we had a 6 or 8 month break between.
It's 2 separate seasons.
Correct. And if we just had 6 through 10, this is a perfect season. Yeah. But episodes 1 through 5, I can pick one episode out here that I truly loved. It was episode 2, The Old Man in the Seat. Okay. I know you liked episode 1, so I'm going to let you talk about that. But I think we can both agree that 3, 4, and 5 are just weak episodes.
Yeah, episode 1 for me. Mm-hmm. I really thought it was a good opener to the season. A lot of great stuff happens in that one. That's where he has the crystal, right? That he could see into, it's not really the future. It's just how he's going to die.
How he's going to die. And he has to stay on a path because at certain points, what's her name? Jessica. Yeah. He's going to die in the arms of Jessica. Yeah. And that leads to him killing Rick. Rick dies in the first 5 minutes of this season.
Yep.
Before the opening credits.
Yep. Yeah. And that's why this one's amazing for me. I'm going to give it a 9. I really like the premiere in this one. I think I know you don't get the whole Akira thing.
Well, yes, but my follow-up is, and here's where I think we're gonna agree when I bring this up. Yeah. You talked about how what you liked about this show was the continuity and that there's consequences for your actions. There's almost no consequence for Morty literally like killing everyone. Mm. And I mean, I understand he has the court trial and then he's not guilty and then he becomes the Akira tree.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I just like the concept in this one. I like the death crystal.
It's a cool not concept. A bad episode. It's an 8.5 out of 10. Don't get me wrong.
Got it. Yeah.
But it's just not at that 10 out of 10 level.
Yeah, no, not a 10 out of 10. Definitely a 9 for me.
Yeah. All right. So episode 2, The Old Man in the Seat. This is as close in the first 5 episodes for me that we get to a 10 out of 10. Okay. I'm going to give this one a 9.5 out of 10. I love the storyline of the bathroom planet, the toilet planet.
It's cool.
The 1 week thing is, and I'm trying to remember, is this is not the cat episode, is it? This is the side story is
this is the cat episode.
Side story, that's right. Something with so come back to me on the side story. But yeah, I absolutely love the whole thing between Rick and the guy who's the shy pooper.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah.
I don't think it's amazing.
Okay.
Unfortunately I don't. I think it's a great episode of TV. It just wasn't in that must-see level for me. It was, everything with Rick is pretty good. I like the twists and turns that it takes. It just didn't deepen his character that much. And the biggest flaw, and this brings me into the biggest flaw of the season for me here, is Morty's storyline in every one of these episodes, except for the season premiere, just is completely forgettable.
Yeah, that's fair.
And this is his weakest season, and I hate that for that reason. I hate that. And I think,
is this the episode where he and Summer just kind of like sitting around saying they can do stuff independently without him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have nothing else to do.
Right.
They have nothing else to do. So it's an 8 out of 10 for me. Old Man in the Seat is great, but just not amazing.
Okay. Yeah. I like, just because I think they execute the whole planet and
fully
Rick's
agree.
Confrontation with like I said, the shy pooper. I don't remember his name.
Fully agree.
I love it. I love the emotional storyline with Rick when the guy dies.
Yeah.
And what was it? The red stuff that he puts them in that suspends them in their greatest desire. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we get to episode 3, which is my lowest score of Rick and Morty yet. 5 out of 10.
Agreed. 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
So weak. Let's build a crew. Although maybe I'm going to give it a 5.5 because I do like the twist at the end that it's all Rick's genius ploy to get Morty out of pitching a Netflix show so he can go on adventures. I did not see that coming.
Once again, Morty's storyline, so stupid in this one. He's such a side character. They sideline him so much.
It's a stab at Netflix.
It's a stab at Netflix, and it's just like, really, that's what this was all about. It just felt weak overall to me. Average episode of TV, nothing special whatsoever about it.
Okay.
Then we get to episode 4, Claw and Order, Special Victims Morty.
Claw and Hoarder.
To me, Hoarder. Okay, yeah.
Because the dragon has a hoard.
Okay, got it. A couple funny lines in this one for me. To me, this is a bad episode of TV. I'm going to give this a 4.5.
I'm going to give this one a 7.
Okay.
I liked it. I think I would have liked it a lot more. And I get the stab once I figured out that it had to do with Game of Thrones. And that's why everything was over-sexualized. Because that's what Game of Thrones is.
It's not really over-sexualized.
Yes,
though.
it is.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
But maybe it is for some people.
I've not bought into the story. I've watched episodes here or there. And from the episodes that I've seen, the show is a softcore pornography.
And okay, fine. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that much. I think it's much deeper story than that. But this episode 4, the one with the dragon, and the cat with Jerry. What? Like, what was the point of that? I felt like they were wasting my time in this episode. Okay. That's why I give it below 5.
You feel very similarly to this episode as I feel about episode 5, Rattlestar Ricklactica.
Got it.
I found this snake jazz and Morty getting bit by the snake, and then they have a snake society and Snake Buzz Aldrin. I found it very stupid.
I mean, they tried to make Morty's character more of a center point in this one.
Right.
It's just the story was so weak. It was so weak again, and it's just like, why? It wasn't as bad as the one that came before.
Right. But I disagree. This is the lowest episode. This is a 5 out of 10. That one, or Crew over the Cruise Morty, is a 5.5 for me. Episode 5 is a 5 out of 10. It is the only episode of Rick and Morty I'll ever say is below or is average, is not at least okay.
Got it. Okay, yeah. For me, this one, I think it's above average. I think it's a 6 out of 10 for me. Nothing that made it good, like, the season premiere or any of the other 7s that I've given. Mm-hmm. But it is, a bit of a throwaway episode, a Terminator ripoff. And that's about the extent of the story in this one. Just a Terminator ripoff.
The only thing I liked about it was the continuity with the space whatever ball testicle monster things.
Yeah, them showing up was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was funny, and but it made the ending very Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah,
it was just okay. So they took care of it.
Yeah, and now we get to episode 6.
We get an 8-month break. I think because of the pandemic, probably.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And in this one, we kind of get back to what we love Rick and Morty for.
10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, episode 6 is definitely a 10 out of 10.
We kick off with episode 6. To me, this is the closest thing we get to an interdimensional cable or a Morty's Mind Blowers. They, once again, didn't think they could top interdimensional cable. Mm-hmm. They did with interdimensional cable part 2. Mm-hmm. Hated Morty's Mind Blowers. I know you liked it. Mm-hmm. To me, this even topped interdimensional cable part 2. Yeah. Incredible. The story train. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah.
And once again, they keep saying it in this episode over and over. It's very meta, and I love it for that. Mm-hmm. I love it for that. I love that Absolutely. They're critiquing their what's his name, Roiland and Harmon's own style of writing.
Yep, the circle, the story circle.
The story circle. Yep. I love that they bring that up. And we also get a little bit of the clip show style. Yep. But that's only the first part of this episode. What it turns out, this episode is so special because not only does it show us, okay, this is what we've been doing with, what did we talking about here? The TV, interdimensional cable. Yeah. So this is what we've been doing with interdimensional cable. And they say, but that's only the first few minutes of this episode. Here's the evolution of that.
Yes.
And that's what's so incredible about this one.
And I think I read this somewhere, that all these, these cuts that they were doing where they're going to different, I think the most notable one is where we see evil Morty leading an army of Meeseeks and Gazorpazorps against Rick and Morty and Mr. Poopy.
Once again, I'm going to make a point here where we get these potential endings to Rick and Morty.
Right. These were all pitches that Roiland and Harmon had created.
Right. Yeah. But the point of this though, and then putting them in this episode is they're saying, here's what we could give you.
Yes.
But we're not going to.
Exactly.
That's not what we're trying to do here. And to me, that makes it very exciting.
Yes.
Because I'm saying, okay, well, any one of those ideas they could have picked and it would have been pure gold.
Yep.
What could they do besides that? And that's what's the best part about this episode is the potential that it brings up.
Yep.
And I love episode 6.
And how about I love the ending too, that it's all just
action
toy.
Figure.
Yeah.
And they're kind of commenting on the popularity of Rick and Morty, right?
Yeah. And there's, as they call them, they're like overlords, Cartoon Network and Adult Swim.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
The consumerism of it.
Yeah, they're definitely commenting on the consumerism.
Yeah.
We get to Pro Mortius, kind of a riff on Alien. Mm-hmm. And this one's not a 10 out of 10 for me.
So from what I remember of this episode, this is an interesting episode because it takes a look at a film like Alien from the aliens' point of view.
Yeah.
And our bad guys are Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
And I love it for that. Yeah. I think it's an interesting take on it. I love this episode. This is a 10 out of 10 for me. Okay. And we even see Morty struggling with that at the very end when they're completely destroying the whatever, this face sucker planet. Geez, look at all the death and destruction we've caused, and we've always caused it. They've destroyed so many of these planets, and I think Rick even says it. He goes, "You ever wonder why we never go back on missions? It's always somewhere new. It's because we do this."
Yeah.
They're sort of the villains, and I love that for it.
Yeah, that aspect of it is great, and that's the reason why I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
But other than that, I feel like they kind of were spinning their wheels a little too much in this one.
Okay.
Let me tell you where.
Yeah.
When they go back to get Summer, we get a whole nother recap of everything that's happened from Summer's point of view to catch us up.
Right.
I don't know. To me, that kind of felt like a little bit of a misstep.
Okay.
I think it was necessary just because that's the way they wrote the episode. But other than that, the concept itself is great. The comedy in this one is great. Just not to the highs that I've absolutely had in this show. Not that amazing level. Let's just leave it that way.
To me, it's a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
This episode. And that brings us to
Best episode.
The best episode of the season.
I'd say it's hard for me to pick between that one.
I like it a little bit better than the train episode. The never Ricking Morty.
Yeah.
The Vat of Acid episode.
I want to give it a 10 out of 10. I want to give it a 10 out of 10. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10.
I mean, how about just for the sequence of Morty and him falling in love and the plane crash.
Yes. God. And the best part is I watched the Stay Tuned After This Episode interview with Harmon on this one. He said that was all the director's idea.
Yes,
they put it all
together.
Too. Yep. They put it all together.
And they needed what? 3 more episodes.
They needed 5 more minutes.
Or 3 more minutes. 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. And the director says, you know what? Let me just extend this sequence to its full potential. And it's genius. I love it. It makes it so great. Yeah. And the ending to this one is just encapsulates everything that Rick and Morty is about. It just brings it full circle. And I love it. It shows us everything about Rick. Morty's storyline is better in this one.
This episode is incredible.
Yes.
The end is mind-blowing. I love it. And I understood it even more the second time watching it with you, with the reference to the prestige.
Yes.
Because you prestige yourself, Morty. Every time you hit that reset button, you killed another Morty. And that's why at the end he has to jump into the vat of acid.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think this is an incredible
10
episode.
out of 10. Chilled Rick of Mort, for me, I like this one. I like it. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 like you're going to give it.
Yeah. I love this episode.
I know you love it. Let me tell you, I think I'm going to give this one, I like it better than Pro Mortius. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I love this episode. I think the concept, Rick.
The best part for me in this one is the battle between Rick and the God.
That's and that's also cut with the battle between the intelligent children of Rick and then the ones led by Jerry.
Jerry's storyline is also great in this one.
I love Jerry's storyline, and he becomes Moses.
Yes,
he's parting the sea, and he's
teaches them about camping.
They know how to make a s'more. And I love Summer and Morty's storyline in there, where she just wants to do drugs, so she starts huffing the oil fluid, the exhaust fluid, and Morty goes, "It's like a video game."
This sets up Beth's storyline of the season finale beautifully.
Yeah,
I really like Beth's storyline
because Beth finally gets to the approval of her father because she gets to see him raise these children like she wishes he raised her.
Yeah, and she kind of stands up for herself in this one, which I really like. She says, I'm not letting you abandon these kids like you abandoned me.
Yes.
And I really like that. Beth's storyline in this one was a big standout. I really liked it. Jerry's storyline was great. Rick's storyline was great. For me, I didn't think Summer and Morty's storyline was that
it was just
special.
funny.
It was just funny.
I thought it was just funny. It was a point that
there was nothing meaningful there though. It was just funny.
It was
That's
hilarious.
what it was for me.
Needed that. This was a kind of serious episode. I
thought it needed it.
And I love high Summer on the exhaust fluids. And my favorite part is the end where Rick they're crying to Rick, oh my grandchildren, I want to. And then as soon as Rick starts feeling out of control and everyone's making fun of him at the end, he goes, Summer and Morty got high and killed God. Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
I'm curious to see what you think about the finale here, though. The Star Mort Return of the Jedi.
10 out of 10.
Okay. I was gonna say I don't know if you liked it as much as I did.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't stand up to me as well as season 2's finale, but it's as close as it's gonna get. I mean, I think season 2's finale is one of the greatest episodes of television ever. Yeah. This though is still a 10 out of 10. I love the concept of the two Beths meeting each other. I love seeing, and it doesn't matter which one's the clone and which one's not. It's just two separate ways that Beth could have gone. It's very similar almost to the first interdimensional cable where we see how Beth's life could have gone without Jerry. Yeah. It's very intriguing.
I didn't think that you were going to give this one a 10 out of 10, but I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10. I'm going to give it's on par with me with that season 2 finale. Okay. It's a 9.5 out of 10.
Okay.
It's still a really phenomenal episode of TV. The biggest flaw, the reason why I don't give this one a masterpiece level 10 out of 10 is because it pulls the same trick and the same flaw that the rest of season 4 had. Shorthanded Morty and Summer.
This was another Morty and Summer. Hey, we can do it together.
We can do it together.
I feel like that's everyone in this episode. Because who's our hero at the end? It's Jerry.
Yeah.
Rick this episode proves that they don't need Rick.
Yeah, a little bit. But
Rick's losing control of the family.
The whole invisibility thing felt like they were just, why? Why? It's funny. But that's my thing.
It allowed Jerry to be the hero.
Think about the storylines that Morty and Summer had in the other season finales. At least in the season 2 finale. Even in the season 1 finale. better than what it was in this finale. That's why this one gets a half point down for me, at least. The rest of it, though, is phenomenal. I love it. It's great. Everything with Beth in this one is just so thought-provoking. I couldn't look away. It is fantastic. But yeah, 9.5 for me. And let's wrap it up to now. Let me just tell you guys my score, and then I'm curious what Ryan thinks about season 4. Season 4 for me was the worst one so far.
Okay.
And it's really hard for me to give a score to this one because, like I said, it feels like two different shows. Yeah. The first show, not that good at all. The second show did a really great job. Yeah. But there's just some points in this one where I'm like, they lost sight of what Rick and Morty was. They tried to make it too simple. They tried to shorthand the Morty storylines way too much. They didn't develop Morty enough in this one, and they didn't follow through with Rick's emotional arcs until the last part of the season. And that's why I give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay. I think just because I think 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Like I said, it's not going to redeem the beginning half of this episode, but to me, there are more perfect episodes or, near perfect 10 out of 10s than there were in season 1. I'm going to give this a slight tick above season 1. It's an 8.5 out of 10 for me. Got it. Okay. So let's recap just our overall season scores. For me, season 1 was an 8 out of 10 for you.
8 out of 10.
Season 2 for me, 10 out of 10.
9.5 or 9. Sorry.
9. Season 3 was a 9.5 for both of us, right?
9.5 for both of us.
Season 4 for me was an 8.5. For you was a
7.5.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Well, either way, it seems like for those of you that haven't watched, hopefully you didn't listen to us drone on for the whole time because you got spoilers, but it's a must watch.
Yeah.
So go back, watch it, and we've got what, June 20th?
June 20th.
So 18 days from now, because it's past midnight, we will have Rick and Morty season 5. We're both stoked for it. We can't wait. And we'll be here to bring you probably a weekly review of that when it comes back. So stay tuned, guys. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Top of the List. We have great content coming for you. Thanks for those of you who stuck it out to the end, and we'll see you next week.
Later, guys.